All right, the story going on right now, though. We got to give you guys the latest on the Giants QB search because stuff's going down, guys, left and right. But what's weird is minor steps are going down. Nothing major is going down, basically. So, not to be the spoiler there, guys. So, Joe Flacco was in for a meeting with the Giants on Thursday. He was in for a visit there. The veteran, let's be honest, guys, he's year to year at this point in his career. He's a guy that you don't know what's going to happen to him as far as any year he could walk away, any year he can not even get an offer and have to walk away, not his choice. Colts last year, Browns the year before that. Russell Wilson was then in town with the Giants just yesterday. As there we got Rob now here. Let me have him in for you guys. There he is.
Yo, hey, yo. It's a me, Rob.
So we're just talking about Joe Flacco coming in for the visit on Thursday and Russell Wilson coming in for his visit just yesterday on Friday. So interesting pair because it's like obviously everything we've been hearing is the Giants are waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Like Aaron Rodgers holds all the cards.
We are handing out our ARP card.
Yeah. So, and the growing sentiment amongst sources that, all the various reporters, and usually we like to give you guys, hey, so-and-so said this. Every reporter's kind of giving the same bit of advice and news right now. The Giants are waiting on Aaron Rodgers. They're getting tired, though, of waiting on Aaron Rodgers as well. And they're getting kind of fed up. So we'll have to see what happens there. Now, the latest rumor I'm hearing.
Rumor has it.
Is the Vikings may be interested in Rodgers after all. And he's actually giving them the time to decide if they're interested in him. So it's like the Vikings are holding up now what goes on with the Steelers and the Giants and their quarterback situation. Which, I'm sorry, if I'm the Giants, that tells me all I need to know. I don't want to be no damn silver medal. I don't want to be a second choice.
Yeah, if you were waiting around for your broad to be like, hey, I might have this opportunity and I'm going to wait and hold on to you, like,
yeah. I just feel like at a certain point, I know the Giants want to win next year. I don't know. A lot of this is about the Giants trying to win so they can go ahead and Joe Shane can try to keep his job and Brian Dable can try to keep his job. But at a certain point, it just goes like, where's your dignity? Like, you've given this man all the time in the world. It's time to,
cut the cord.
Pardon my French, shit or get off the pot here.
Yeah.
Like, that's where you're at. And by all accounts, Russell Wilson would love to come to the Giants. Would absolutely love to come to the Giants. We talked about before, obviously his wife, being in the music industry, Ciara would probably prefer. If I had to guess, I'll go out on a limb and say she'd prefer being in New York over being on Cleveland, Like that's much better for her occupation. And Russell Wilson seems to be down to the Browns or the Giants at this point. There's a small chance with the Steelers, but let's be honest, Russell Wilson, as most people who have been very good at their job for quite a long time, get a little bit of an ego. And when your former employer goes, oh, we're going to continue talking to you and we'll be interested in you, but only if so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so all turn us down. Because that's what it feels like for Russell Wilson, the Steelers at this point. Let's be honest. They wanted Fields over Wilson. Fields went to the Jets. We had told you guys early on that Fields would not come back to the Steelers because of issues with Tomlin. Now it's down to Aaron Rodgers they prefer. At a certain point, he's going to take that personal. I would.
100%. You should have took it personal last year when they said, hey, we're going to get Fields and, like, you guys battled out. Like,
yeah. Well, to a certain degree, he couldn't really complain too much considering what happened and transpired in Denver. But it gets to that point where it's like, okay, I've been with you now for a year. I've shown you what I can do. I got you guys to the playoffs last year.
Yeah. I showed you.
Maybe
like,
show them respect.
Yeah.
Now, is that legitimate for him at this point in his career? Probably not. Let's be honest with that. They got to the playoffs because of the winning they did with Justin Fields much more than they did with Russell Wilson. I hate to be a jerk about it, but Russell Wilson did not have the best end to his season. The Steelers lost the last 5 games in a row?
Yeah, but at the same time, he also Justin Fields was 4-2, good start. Yeah. And then I think Russell did the same pretty much from the get-go.
And then the losing streak started.
Yeah.
So
still Tomlin had his 500 record. So
I think the big thing you look at this point is go, okay, where does everybody want to be? So let's start with Aaron Rodgers, because he's the first ball going to drop here, assuming he decides to actually drop his balls already and make a decision. He's looking at the barrel of the Vikings, the Steelers, and the Giants. Now, from a Giants perspective, I look at it and I go, what would Aaron Rodgers want with the Giants? Let's be honest here. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, the Giants are my 3rd spot. They are number 3. The big allure to the Giants is I don't have to move, and they're offering me more money, according to reports, than everybody else. That's it. Suspect interior offensive line team has been losing for years. The New York press already hates me because issues with the Jets. Like, there really isn't a lot to make the Aaron Rodgers go, you know where I should sign? The Giants. And that's part of what scares me in this scenario. Now you look at the Steelers. The Steelers just got DK Metcalf, who is a very good receiver. They've had Pickens, who's also a very good receiver. Not as good as Metcalf, but still a good legit number 2 there, that's for sure. They go ahead and have Mike Tomlin, who literally has never had a losing season in his entire head coaching career.
And now Rodgers has 2 in a row.
And the only thing I would say bad about going to the Steelers is you're going to face Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow twice a year each. So, I mean, that's definitely a bit of a concern there. But to me, that's a slam dunk spot if I'm him. Because the other thing is the Steelers don't have a top pick. Like the Giants might, we talked about it before and talked about all season long. The Giants may go get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. You don't know. We don't know either way, but they may. And the Steelers aren't. Meaning, if he has a little bit of a bad game or two, there's not going to be people screaming for him to come out of there and let's put the kid in. That could very well happen in New York, depending how the draft goes. And Aaron Rodgers is not going to know that when he makes that decision, unless the Giants give him some kind of promise not to go get these 2, which would be insane to do. I'd be calling for Shane's head more than I already am if that happened.
Well, the promise would be like, we're going to get this guy, but we won't put him in.
Yes. But you could do that promise. But again, if you're Aaron Rodgers, considering everything that's transpired with the Jets, let's be honest, the New York area does not necessarily think very highly of Rodgers. So you have a bad game or two. You don't think the fans are going to be booing for you to come out and put the rookie in?
I mean, that's just New York market.
I'm saying, like, you don't have that issue in Pittsburgh. They're not going to be screaming for Mason Rudolph, who they signed to be their backup now.
No.
That's the scenario what you're looking at. If the Steelers go get him, Mason Rudolph is his backup. There's a lot more breathing room. And you go to a place you're probably going to win, end your career on a higher note. You're going to have a couple of good receivers. You're going to have a line they just spent a lot of resources rebuilding that's doing better than the Giants right now. That's a better spot for him. If I'm being honest and taking my Giants hat off for a minute here and looking as a legit NFL fan and a guy who's in Aaron Rodgers' corner in this scenario, the Pittsburgh Steelers are a better spot than the Giants. Then you go over to the Vikings. You kind of can't blame him to a certain degree why he's waiting.
Yeah. Look at
the difference with Sam Darnold. Yeah, exactly. Look at the difference with Sam Darnold. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, a built offensive line. KOC, who's one of the best offensive minds in football. Like, sign me up.
Yeah. I'll show you wrong.
This team thought they can develop Daniel Jones. That's how cocky they are quarterback at this point. And they're not wrong. Look how bad Cousins looked last year.
Imagine he goes there, develops TJ becomes legitimate starter in the NFL.
Well, Well, Jones is a Colt now, so that part's done. But they wanted
Yeah.
Daniel Jones back. Daniel Jones just didn't want to go back there because they thought that J.J. McCarthy would come back. And that's the one big knock on the Vikings, if I'm the Aaron Rodgers. J.J. McCarthy is looming over. J.J. McCarthy is going to come back at some point. And
Yeah,
if he
so
comes
if
back,
you sign
they sit Aaron Rodgers.
No, if you sign Aaron Rodgers, you're the Vikings. You got to use him as a bridge quarterback to the fullest extent. Like you got a guy like JJ, you're going to sit there and sit him to the fullest extent, hands down. Like, and Rodgers would be like, "Hey, kid, I get it. I was there. I sat behind Brett Favre. Look what happened."
Yeah. Except I don't think Aaron Rodgers will say that nice.
No, but
here, hey kid, go in this cave and have some shrooms real quick while I got this.
Yeah.
Keep my cave warm for me. That's what
Microdoses. Like, hey, listen, only eat half that mushroom. Don't eat the whole thing.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, so like I look at the scenarios and I can almost go Steelers, Vikings, Giants for if I was Aaron Rodgers, where I'd rank the 3 teams. And that makes me a little nervous as a Giants fan because they seem to have all those eggs in that basket.
Yeah. Well, I don't quite have the same tier, but Giants are still at the bottom.
What's your tier? You got Vikings?
Probably Vikings, Steelers. Yeah.
Like I said, my biggest issue, the only thing I would stop with the Vikings is the whole JJ McCarthy thing. You know, Aaron Rodgers, let's be honest, he tries to act all cocky, but people who act all cocky are not very secure with themselves, I feel like. And he's going to look at that as someone there to challenge him and not in a good way. That's why I think Steelers.
I mean, the only thing I take away from it, going with your mindset too, is he's a guy that is full of ego. He also knows that he is in his 40s. I set that guy up for success. Look at him be that great in NFL because I taught him to do that.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. The other report initially was that he didn't want to go to the Vikings because of the whole Brett Favre comparisons with Favre going Packers, Jets, Vikings. And then here be Aaron Rodgers doing the same exact thing. And again, I get the allure of the Vikings. I do. Now, on Russell Wilson's side, I got to think Russell Wilson is hell-bent on doing whatever he has to do to come to New York. And again, I don't know Russell Wilson. I could be completely wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit there and make it seem like I know everything going on with him. But Cleveland, obviously, again, not good for his wife compared to New York. That's a huge scenario. I know people like to sit there and act like that's not a big deal, but that's a huge deal. You know, you do what's best for your family sometimes, not what's best for you specifically. You know, he goes to a team where he's going to be in the media market. And Russell Wilson just strikes me as a guy who'd want to get into broadcasting when he's done.
Yeah.
Just strikes me as he's a well-spoken man, by the way. So I do think he can do very well. You know, I do think he could do very well in that kind of field. But look how many people go to New York and become sportscasters afterwards. They get immersed in that world because a lot of sportscasters are based out of New York. You know, so I think that's a plus for him as well for his post career. Plus, he gets Malik Neighbors, and you know, we know that he can do when he's got good receivers. Like what happened in Seattle. You know, to a scenario where I feel like the bar is a little lower. Like when he was with the Steelers last year, the complaint was they got back into the playoffs again and lost. And it's to the point where people call him for his head, for Mike Tomlin's head, for everybody's head. Let's be honest. The Giants get in the playoffs next year, and they first round. We're throwing a parade for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Like
we did it for DJ.
I think that's what's going on. That's the legit truth of the matter. Like the bar is set that much lower for what the expectations are for a quarterback here in New York than they are, you know, going back to Pittsburgh for him. And I feel like you could say the same about the Browns though as well. And the Browns, obviously, Jerry Jeudy in the second part of last year really took off, and that's got to be an allure as well. So they have similar, They have similar allures as far as that. You know, you could also say the Browns have a really good defense, but I feel like the Giants have done a lot to build up its defense in the offseason, and that kind of counter affects that, at least to a certain degree. I know we don't have a Myles Garrett type, but we do have Dexter Lawrence. They kind of cancel each other out to a certain degree, too.
A little bit.
So I look at it as the tiebreaker is the location. And again, if I'm Russell Wilson, I gotta be going, this is great for my wife. Exactly where
I can sleep in the same bed as my wife.
Yeah, like, well, sleep.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
But yeah, be a very happy.
What are you supposed to do for the other 10 hours a night?
Yeah, but you know, I just listen. As long as he doesn't go home and go, let's ride,
baby, let's ride.
But again, I think it's as good a fit for him as Cleveland is, with a much better location, and I think that's where he'd want to go there. Now, was that where you got your cheer for him as well, or you got a different?
No, it's about the same. Like you said, the family comes first, and he is a family man at the end of the day. Like, he doesn't preach about it, but like, he is a big family guy, and I feel like New York's a better. What?
Family Guy, the theme song.
Cleveland is very, like, I mean, it's got a lot of opportunities for Russell, but at the same time, it's like you have the opportunity to be a bridge quarterback.
Yep.
You have the opportunity to have Malik Neighbors, Theo Johnson, Wandell. Like, he's looking at this. Like, I think if I'm him, I could light up this, Giants, offense.
Yeah, I mean, and we've said it before in the show, like, Wan'Dale Robinson, I think, is a guy that's a 100-catch guy with a legit quarterback. I think he has a whole lot better of a season. I think he, honestly, if you gave him a good quarterback last year, he was 100 catches, 950 yards, all long. You know, you got Malik Neighbors, who's literally setting wide receiver rookie records. I can say it that way, since Brock Bowers got the overall title there for rookies. But, you know, rookie wide receiver records, all-time NFL records. You know, then you got a guy like Slayton, who, again, we've talked about Slayton numerous times in the show. What we think of him, an underrated player, distant deep threat. Then you throw in, like you said, a young tight end like Theo Johnson. And listen, guys, the weapons aren't bad. I mean, let's even throw in Theo Johnson. I was even throw in Tyrone Tracy Jr., who was the second best rookie running back last year. And again, we've said before, they're probably going to pick up another one. I really think they're going to draft a second running back to pair with him. And if worse comes to worse, you got Devin Singletary, who may not have looked as great last year as he had in years past, but he's still respected amongst his league.
Yeah,
like, there's weapons.
There's a lot of weapons.
The cupboard is not bare.
And like, yeah, I hopped on late, but like Drew and I were talking like this past few days, like they really dug the trenches. Like they're working on backup offensive line.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and hopefully that they're not done there. I still hope they get some more interior offensive line, but you know, we'll see what happens there. But you know, I don't think they're done yet to get building up this offense. So I think Russell Wilson, like I said, would be loving to come to New York. Now, Joe Flacco at that point in his career is just happy to get a job still. Let's be very frank on that. I feel like the first person who offers him a contract is who gets him. Like, and I'm not trying to be rude about it. The guy's had a long career, he's had a good career, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Like, you know, that's a legit career. But I feel like that's where he's at. He's at the point in his career where, remember, he almost sat out all of 23 before the Browns signed him late in the year. And then he went on that nice run with them, you know, where he's kind of throwing in a little Jameis Winston style, but he had a lot of picks with those touchdowns. But he, you know, he had
he also, I was about to say, he had a nice resurgence of his career. And they're like, oh, he still can't throw the ball. Because that's the biggest gripe. Like, when he was going out with the Ravens, can he throw the ball deep? Can he do
Yep.
this, that? And with the Browns proved everyone wrong. It's like he looks like a young quarterback, but
Yep.
at the same time, like he's not aging gracefully as some of this other
Well,
gracefully aged quarterbacks.
I feel like
Yeah,
instead of aging gracefully, it's just he didn't start at the same point. You know, like he wasn't elite quarterback. Let's be honest here on that. Um, so he went from being a above average quarterback to an average quarterback, whereas a guy like Aaron Rodgers, for example, went from an elite quarterback to an above average quarterback. The drop off is different because of that, you know. But Joe Flacco now is 40 years old, guys. 40. Like he is just
Yep.
happy to still be in this league at this point, as he should be. Like legitimately, as he should be. I mean, how many people
Yeah.
are 40 years old and still playing in the NFL? You know, I'd have to guess he's probably like the second or third oldest player in the NFL. Like he's been in the league since 2008, guys. Like that's pretty damn impressive.
Besides kickers, probably Aaron Rodgers is the only one older than he
Yeah.
is.
Like think about this. There's people in high school who literally weren't even born when Joe Flacco started playing in the NFL. Like
Like that. Oh God,
that's how old he is.
I'm so old.
I know. I know. I'm older as well. So I'm even older than Joe Flacco. So it makes me feel even older saying that. But you know, that's the truth of the matter. So congratulations on him for the year he's had. Obviously, for the career he's had.
Yeah.
But that's where he's at. He's at where I'm just happy somebody wants me. You know,
I'm that desperate. Just want
yeah.
me.
But it's where he's at. He wants to continue playing. That's pretty obvious. You know, he's gotten a chance to play the last 2 years as a starter for at least a stretch of the season. And let's be honest, if the Giants fail out on Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, let's say like Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers and Russell Wilson goes to the Browns, hypothetically. That's an option, guys. Like I know people like want to assume where to get one of these two. Like we don't know. There are other options. There's a scenario that we get to go option C, and option C may very well be Joe Flacco. Now the difference I think between
Flacco.
the difference I see now between Joe Flacco and Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers is if you get Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, you can sit there and say, I don't have to pick a quarterback in the first round. I feel like you can say that. Meaning, like, let's say hypothetically, Ward and Shador go 1 and 2, and you're sitting there at 3. Well, you can trade back, or you can get a Travis Hunter, or you can go get a Mason, or you can go get somebody like that. And you don't have to be, oh my God, what am I do a quarterback? But I feel like if you get a Joe Flacco, you are getting a quarterback in that first round. Come hell or high water. Like, I don't think he's good enough to have that where you go, I don't need a quarterback. I'm good. Like, I want a quarterback, but I don't have to have a quarterback. It's a want, not a need. You get Joe Flacco, it's a need.
I mean, I think every scenario, it's a need. I think it's what quarterback we want to take.
I've got the need.
I got the need for the QB.
But that's where we're at there. Now, what's I think is kind of curious is you got these are the 3 quarterbacks you hear being linked to the Giants. I haven't heard any talk about Jameis Winston yet.
That's
I don't know if the Giants
are going to get.
I don't know if the Giants are just not interested. I would take Jameis Winston over Joe Flacco in a heartbeat, guys.
100%.
Younger by 10 years. 10 years younger.
He was my dude last year.
Yep. We talked about him a lot last year. He would have been the perfect guy to pair with Daniel Jones and just let the two of them battle it out. I think they should have done that. And obviously, you and I have been proven correct with that. That Drew Lock was not the guy.
Yeah.
You know, and look what Jameis Winston did in Cleveland. He again, there's games you can say that he cost them with the interceptions, but there's also games you can say that he won them with the way he played too as well. So, you know, it's a ride with Jameis Winston. Don't get me wrong. That's not a perfect quarterback. That's a ride. But I honestly believe in my heart that if you give Jameis Winston a chance to start for New York, that you go ahead and see him in an offense like this, where it's short passings and it's not him throwing bombs all day long, that I think that honestly you're going to see a much different, Jameis Winston than what you've seen in the past. And
But also, you let it ride because you still got Malik Neighbors. You still got Hyatt. You still got Wanda. Like, you can sit there and let him sit back and run back and throw bombs.
He was still, don't get me wrong, he would still throw some bombs. I'm not saying that. But, most of what you look at, what you get with Wandale, with even Neighbors to a certain degree, is 15 area. They're not throwing 30, 40-yard bombs to Malik Neighbors on a regular basis. He can do it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he can, but that's not his usual thing. His usual thing is like a 12-yard gain and then trying to get some yak yards afterwards to make it to a 25-yard. That's what he does. Meanwhile, who really would benefit is Slayton.
Yeah.
Slayton would be. And maybe Hyatt if he can get his head out of his ass.
That's what I was just saying. Definitely Hyatt.
If he can get open. That's the one thing. He can't get open right now. So, we'll see what happens there. But like I said, we'll keep you guys updated as we get more. We got a couple comments here. I know Connor's been a little shocked to see this morning. So his Fabian says, good morning. And Jay says, is this the real life? Are you guys actually live? Is Rob up before 10 a.m.?
Touche.
Connor says, Saturday morning. What the hell? He said, woke up thinking it was nighttime. LOL. Because what happened, guys, on in the morning, everything good.
How do you go to see Crowder?
He says, was hoping on Becton. Oh, well, LOL, big dude. Big dude, yeah, but a big dude that can't stay healthy usually, So,
yeah.
Can you see me now? Can you see me now? Yes, we can. He said, I like Flacco because it's cool to have two New Jersey guys being quarterbacks for the Giants. And yeah, it definitely would be an interesting part of it there. I think that Eagles fan, at least based on where he grew up, because he was on the west side of Jersey. I forget where exactly, but I want to say is that like that Gloucester County kind of area, if I'm right, like near the Delaware Water Gap. So
I think so.
We'll see.
Let's look it up.
Connor says both are Italian. It's like a story. Christopher Tony says Russell wanted a 2-year deal. Giants offered him a 1-year deal. WTF are they doing? Curious where you saw that because I haven't seen anything on that. All I saw is that Russell Wilson left with no deal. I haven't heard any particulars as far as 1-year deal, 2-year deal kind of thing. But listen, I'd give him a 2-year deal. It's just I wouldn't guarantee him starting for 2 years. But I'd give him a 2-year deal and have to cut him to year 2 if I had to.
Yeah.
He says, good morning, guys from Baltimore, Maryland. Love the show. Appreciate you always, man. Yeah, it feels weird doing a morning show, doesn't it?
You're right.
I'm about to go get breakfast after this. I'm going to the original Pancake House here in Georgia, and it's over in Alpharetta, Georgia.
I'm going to go to the Tom's River Diner after this.
So this place does
the ladies in spin class, which is fantastic.
This place does these apple pancakes. I'm telling you that. Oh my god, apple pancakes! Like they literally cook it into a cast iron pan. It's like an apple pie. It's amazing.
Oh my!
It is my favorite. It's my favorite breakfast of all time. Let me see if I can get a picture on my phone here and put it on there where you can see it. It's gonna.
My god!
I don't have all the multiple screens to go ahead and get you the usual. Oh, here we go. That's the pancake. Oop. A notification about events that I signed up before I was traveling. Yeah, look at that pancake.
That's delicious.
That is a pancake right there, guys. Here we go. Here's a side picture. You see how tall this thing is. That's the pancake.
Adubon. Yeah, Adubon is where the high school. Adubon. Am I saying it right? Adubon is where.
What town? Well, what town?
Adubon.
Oh, Audubon. Audubon or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, that's
what county? What county?
I'm trying to look it up right now. That's where.
I didn't even know what you were saying at first.
Oh, it's in Camden County.
Camden County. Okay, I said Gloucester. I was close.
Yeah, you're close.
It's the same area.
It's actually really close. The Gloucester Diner is like really close to where his high school was that I'm looking at.
By the way, the that Pancake House, the original Pancake House, they have them in Jersey too, in Northern Jersey. So if anybody's listening and really wants to try that, the Northern Jersey does have them. It's just I like this one because I grew up going here.
You grew up in
Connor
Florida?
says,
You're lying.
no, I grew up coming to Georgia. So Connor says Georgia on my mind.
Georgia Peaches.
Christopher Tony says, so now we still without a QB. Come on, Shane, use your brain, sign a QB, please. He wants to. He's
going to get fired otherwise.
Christopher Tony says, looks good. Damn straight it is. I'm looking forward to this. Trust me, I'm about to leave in like 20 minutes to go get this thing. There we go. See Connor saying Flacco from Audubon. I'm assuming Audubon. Is that? I'm assuming that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Connor says pancakes with bacon. Bacon. It's bacon. And then Connor says DeVitos Livingston. That one I knew. Christopher Tony says, your thoughts on Flacco, Winston, or your choices? Honestly, guys,
I think Winston is probably my choice.
I would go Rodgers, and then Russell Wilson, and then Winston.
Well, yeah. Well, that's that in the thoughts.
Now, I'm concerned about all three of them. Don't get me wrong. I don't think any of them are like a slam dunk pick. Like, let's be honest in that. Like, Rodgers scares me with the circus he brings to town. Russell Wilson scares me because he just flat out hasn't looked great the last 3 years. But I know he can lead a team at least. And Winston scares me because of the interceptions. You know, I think if you bribe him with enough crab legs, next thing you know, maybe he'll stop throwing interceptions. Like, ever see that Kurt Warner movie where he's in the Arena League and like, here's $100. What for? That's a bonus for scoring a touchdown. Ooh, I'm gonna score a lot of touchdowns now. Like, you just give $100 bonus to like Jameis Winston every time he throws the ball and it's not an interception. Here you go. Here's $100. $100. Let's see. Connor says, if no Flacco, I take Winston because he wants to be a New York Giant. These other guys just want money. He wants to play. Yes. Like I said, I'm that's part of what I like about Winston. Plus, I like the personality. I think no matter what, we'd have.
I think he fits in our market very well. Like,
yes,
there's some guys like at the end of the day, like Rodgers did not fit in the New York market that well. Like, he got a lot of slack. Like, putting his personal stuff aside and what he does off the field, he just didn't mesh with that market. Like,
no,
Eli, like, you didn't see anything from him, but like James Winston, man, he'd be promoting Red Lobster coming back.
Yep.
Like,
see here. Christopher Tony says, thanks. No rush for Dalton. I liked Minshew, but he's gone. Yeah, Minshew's gone, but so is Dalton. Dalton re-signed with the Panthers there. Cooper Rush, I'm good. That's, to me, is like, he'd be a good backup. Don't get me wrong. But our back is going to be whoever we draft. Yeah. So, Derek Brown says, Winston wants to be a Giant, so get him. And Dave will probably help him with his turnovers. Yeah, listen, if you think that Dable is a quarterback whisperer of any degree whatsoever, because we've had that discussion. I don't want to start that argument all over again. But if you think he is, you have to have some faith that he can do that. And listen, Daniel Jones is his best season, 22. It's his best season besides his rookie season. His rookie season is probably his best season, but it's his second best season, say. 22 was with, Dable not calling the plays, which is what's going to happen again, and doing short routes and cutting down the turnover issues that Daniel Jones had. That's exactly what we could do again. And I kind of hate to use this term, but kind of like a neutered version of Jameis Winston, where like you don't let him just chuck the ball down the field, and you teach him to be more of a short throwing quarterback that takes occasional shots, because you can't take that away entirely, but the guy takes the occasional shots. And I really think Jameis Winston, I'm not going to say thrive, but he could have some success, I think, with the Giants in that regard.
I agree.
Jay says everyone loved James Winston until he starts throwing picnics. Well, listen, if he starts throwing picnics,
I love James Winston because he threw me a picnic. That's why I've been on his bandwagon for the past few years, because he threw me a picnic.
Hey, boo-boo, is that a picnic biscuit? which is just
Is
crazy.
it
Because
a turkey?
I had the
Is
woods
it a ham
behind
and
me,
cheese
so it makes it
sandwich?
better. Hey, Ranger Rick. No, anyway, he meant obviously picks, not picnics. But
Yeah.
yeah, look, no matter what, they're gonna hate him based on winning or losing. That's what it's all gonna boil down to. That's all that matters. Um, let's see. Christopher Tony says, I think Winston would be fun, energetic, and funny. Yep, damn straight.
100%.
Fabian says Shane has no balls. Derek Brown's
No
not a
Bibles.
whisperer. I agree. Jay says whoever will take a 1-year deal is what I want. None of these guys are the answer, anyways. See, I'm not even worried about the 1-year, 2-year deal stuff because let's be honest, it's not going to be 2 years guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's what matters. The guaranteed money is all. If you're telling me I have to cut a quarterback next year and maybe give him $5 million to make him go away, I'm not worried about that. That's not going to stop me, guys. Now, if you're telling me I can give you a fully guaranteed deal for 2 years, $50 million to, Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, yeah, that's going to scare me a little bit. That part's going to scare me.
Yeah, but realistically, when you sign it was a Russell Wilson to a $50 million contract, it's going to be 25 upfront or 20 upfront.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
and like another 7 if you cut him the second year. So
and that's what I'm
27.
saying. Yeah, if that's the scenario, I'm good with it. Now, if you're telling me I got to fully guarantee it for 2 years, then yeah, I get it. I would not want that either. Connor says, plus, Winston is religious. We need God. We suck for too many years. Derek Brown says, but good enough to have a decent season, and so we don't have a 4-win team. Yes. Jay says, it's going to take divine intervention for us not to suck, Connor. Connor's religious, I meant. He says, Jay says, Tim Tebow is available. We'll go with the religious route, I guess. Why not? What the hell? Jay says, Russell Wilson is like Kirk Cousin. He rings out teams for every penny. I don't think he's in that position anymore. I really don't. I think he's aware that the end is near. And by near, I mean it's like on his doorstep, basically. Like,
Yeah.
he went so bad in Denver.
I was about to say he has to wear Denver very, very cold-heartedly. Like, you went into Denver like, I'm the man, I'm the golden piece, and you got cut. You got cut.
I can't blame him.
Big time.
But I can't blame him for coming in with that. He always had that success in Seattle. You can't blame him.
You can't. But when you get cut and you're guaranteed what, $40 million, $50 million, whatever it was,
yeah,
and they still paid you and they cut you
and they sat you.
Yeah, like that's.
I do think that humbled him a bit. I don't think I saw the same Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh.
That's a very embarrassing, humbling situation.
Yeah. And I don't think he's the same guy who wants to ring people for all the money because, like last year, for example, he took the $1 million from Pittsburgh because he was already getting paid by the Broncos. And let's be honest, that was an advantage to the Steelers because any additional money they gave him would have just been less money the Broncos had to give him because of that, the way that worked out. But like I said, I think that he's humbled enough that won't be an issue personally. But
yeah,
you just have to pay him $40 million, 2 years, $40 million, 2 years, $50 million. Like that's going to be that kind of deal. Like he's not going to take a 1 year, $5 million deal. I don't think. Flacco and Winston will in a heartbeat. Robert NY Giants says Wilson would put us in good position. Our defense, at least back end, will be a top 5. Listen, I'm excited about this defense, guys. If you get this defensive line fixed up the rest of the way, I am excited about this defense. That's the one concern I still have because I think that our defensive line is still highly suspect. We've gotten a couple backups in here. I hope we draft right, maybe get one guy who can start and, get it rolling here. But that could be a really scary defense for the rest of the NFL if things are done right the rest of the way. Jay says, I can agree. Need a guy. Agents know we are desperate and time isn't on our side. Here's the thing, though. You could say that, but the team, the Giants, also know these guys are desperate. There's not a lot of starting jobs left. You want to look at starting jobs in the league, you got the Vikings, the Steelers, the Giants, the Browns, and the Titans. That's it. And the Titans seem hell-bent on not making a move, which tells me more and more that they're going to take Cam Ward number 1 overall, no matter what everybody says. And there's only so many positions left, guys. And the Browns, you can make the case that they'd have to actually potentially fight out for the starting job. with Mr. Tiny Hands himself there in Kenny Pickett, who's got traded for. Like the Browns wanted Kenny Pickett in the building. That means there could be a competition if you go there. You
It's
know,
hard to get a massage with tiny hands.
yeah. Plus, you got, I didn't think about that. Plus, you got Deshaun Watson still hanging over the next year, you know? Connor said, I think Winston would take any legit money they offer. He just wants to play. Exactly.
100%.
Christopher Tony says, pretty soon we won't have no one to sign. Come on, Shane, get the ball rolling. Jay says, you know how this is playing out, right? We're going to end up trading with the Browns and start Sanders. It's going to be poop. I don't know, honestly. The fact that they are so hell bent on getting Aaron Rodgers makes me think one of two things: either the Giants really aren't liking the quarterbacks in this draft, and they want a legit starter for this year and kick the can down the road to next year's problem, or they're just desperate to win this year and keep their job. But that is in the back of my head going, did the Giants maybe not like either quarterback? Or just don't think they have a shot at Cam Ward until like Shedeur Sanders? I don't know. I really don't know. Let's see here. Just Bob says Giants should trade for Cousins. I think you wait and Cousins will be available. And Cousins at this point may end up being the backup because of the fact that Falcons are holding him hostage. There's rumors like crazy though of Cleveland and Kirk Cousins. So Fabian says it really doesn't matter who we get. We still don't have a legitimate offensive line that really pop. I'm not so sure on the offensive line being as big an issue. There's concerns I have in the interior, but Illuminor is good. Thomas is a freaking stud. Greg Van Roten was good last year. That's 3 out of 5 right there, guys. There's not a single team in the NFL that doesn't have a concern on their offensive line, guys. And again, I'm not saying it's going to be a stellar offensive line, top 5 offensive line, but I think it's an average offensive line in this league, the way things are, potentially, if everybody stays healthy.
Yeah, I'd say it towards upwards, too, because, like, we saw what this line was last year, and they just, this offseason, they've been nothing but improving the backups. So,
yep. Connor says, if Tennessee wants Cam Ward, what about us trade him for Will Levis? I don't want Will Levis. I want nothing to do with Will Levis.
What's mayonnaise in the coffee?
Robert NY Giants says trade back at assets and grab Jackson Dart. I'm okay with trading back if they don't like the quarterbacks. I do not want Jackson Dart. I'm not a Jackson Dart guy.
Listen, if you're picking up Rodgers, you're picking up Russell Wilson, and you think that might be the guy, I'm not against that.
I would take. Honestly, I would wait, and because I think Jackson Dart's going to be in the back end of the first round at the worst case scenario. I would wait and go. We could take a Quinn Ewers or something like that. I think he's just as good as Jackson Dart, and I'll probably get some crap for saying it, but I'm going to say it.
Listen, I think you take it. Whoever, I don't think that's your guys forever.
Yeah,
I think it's your back. You're probably your long-term backup. You want to take him, and just in case, so to say, Rodgers can't stay healthy, this and that, or whatever. But next year, we'll probably take a better quarterback.
All righty. Well, we got to start winding this down here, guys, because I got 3 minutes before I got to start cleaning up so I can go off to get my pancakes here. So let's. I know. Well, I said 10:30. We were going to go, and it's 10:17. I still got to clean up all this equipment here in the back here because, like I said, obviously I'm not in my home. I'm on location here. I got the lovely lake behind me. You can see there a little bit in the bottom there. But let's go through the rest of these comments here real quick. Let's see here. Where we go here? Oh no, you guys are shooting so many comments. I'm losing track of where we are, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I am not complaining when I say that. We got 138 people on live, guys. If you haven't, by the way, hit the like, subscribe button. We haven't paid the bills. We'll probably just not do this episode. But if you haven't hit the like, subscribe, guys, please do go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, hit that share button there. Let's see here. There we go. We're back to where we were. There we go. Okay, there we go. Christopher Tony says, I don't want Cousins. Like I said, I'm okay with him as an option for a 1 year. Jay says, dude, keep an eye on Jake Kubis and Neal playing decent at guard. I'm not going to ever hold my breath on Neal playing good anywhere. But Gubis, I know a guy they like a lot. I think he projects better as a backup guard. We'll find out if I'm right. JMS says Jay says JMS is our problem now. I don't think it's a problem because if you have an option to play a guard, you can put Greg Van Roten now as center because you have him back. Fabian says front office and coaching staff sucks. Derek Brown says Rodgers to Pittsburgh, Wilson to Cleveland, Winston to Giants. Jay says no offense to anybody, but no team has ever traded back for a QB1 ever. I'm curious about that. Actually, I'm kind of curious because I got to think that scenario has happened at some point that someone's traded back and gotten the quarterback. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I got to think and I'm not saying it's a likely scenario, just all the years of NFL drafting, I got to think it's happened at least once. Christopher Tony says, my hair is going gray every day. Someone isn't signed. LOL. Connor said, I like Jackson Dart. I don't even know what going there every year. We need consistency. I don't know what you said there, Connor. Are you drinking already this morning? Christopher Tony says the key to happiness are low expectations and insensitivity. We are there. Let's see. Fabian says the real problem is Shane thinks he's the smartest person in the room. Yes, he does. Jay says, look at Drew on site. Amazing. Like Daniel Jones, first guy in the door, last guy. Yeah. Jay's always got to take that shot there. All righty, guys.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please,